Hi, I'm Nurse Rob. You know, after making my first video, my introductory video, I started to receive a lot of wonderful, encouraging responses and remarks. And I knew that I was on the right path. But I also received questions like, what is your business model? What are your fees and services? What is it that you are trying to achieve? And I started to ask myself, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? And it was reflecting on this question that reminded me of a woman who had once crossed my path. Her name was Kaiëma. It was April 18th, 2019, and I was a few days into my walk across Spain on the ancient pilgrimage called the Camino de Santiago. On this particular day, I had been walking for 12 straight hours, and I was exhausted and needed a place to sleep. It was Holy Week on the Christian calendar, and in Spain, that meant everyone was off from work and everything was closed. I had walked through the villages of Zubiri and Larisuana, but all sleeping accommodations were filled. I pressed on through the woods and farmlands and thought, if need be, I would sleep on the side of the trail or in some abandoned barn. I had no phone, and my paper map said the next city, Pamplona, was 30 miles away. I really didn't want to sleep on the side of the road because it was getting cold and dark and the rain was moving in. I started to feel drizzles. I passed two young boys fishing, and in my half-assed broken Spanish, asked them if there was any place for me to get some food. Comida. They directed me to a town not on my map. The town of Zurain probably had a population of 6. I walked into the first and only restaurant I saw. I figured that this was great. I'm going to give the owner a couple bucks and hopefully he'll allow me to sleep on the floor. Would beat sleeping outside. I took notice and I realized I was not the only pilgrim in this restaurant. Yes, we who walk the ancient pilgrimage call each other pilgrims. And there were other pilgrims here, stranded, eating soup, and talking about where they were going to sleep. It was here where I met Kaiëma. She was 80 years old and blind, and she had silver hair and spoke with a beautiful accent, which I later learned was a mixture of her German origin and having lived the last 50 years between Australia and Tasmania. Like me, Kaiëma was also walking the road to Santiago, and also like me, she had no place to sleep. A young couple overheard us talking and invited us all back to their apartment to spend the night. Extraordinarily gracious thing to do to strangers. But they saw that we were in need and they did what they could. Back at their apartment in Sariguen, we all got to know each other and we all got to know Kaiëma. We were fascinated by this older blind woman who had traveled halfway around the world by herself in order to walk this pilgrimage through a foreign land where she didn't speak the language or know anyone. I never really thought of anyone as being fearless until I met Kaiëma. The next day, we all made our way to the city of Pamplona together. Pamplona is known throughout Europe for the running of the bulls. But this was not the celebration occurring on this day. On this day, the celebration was bigger. It was Good Friday, the day Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross. And in Spain, a Catholic nation, the party was massive. And the electric atmosphere surrounding the city proved to be, for me, a once in a lifetime experience. I spent a good amount of time with Kaiëma on that Good Friday. We walked arm in arm throughout the city, in and out of cathedrals, strolling down back streets, swinging on the swings in the park. She had a special energy. I watched as she made decisions based on her intuition alone. She walked by faith, not by sight. We spent time in deep conversation. Our conversations were never on a superficial level. We spoke of life and love and loss and forgiveness, and I listened intently when she spoke. I was focused on her words because her words were profound. The more we spoke and the more I looked into her eyes, the more I didn't see blindness. I saw understanding and peace and vision. You know, I really hadn't thought about Kaiëma in the last few months. But when I was asked what I wanted to achieve with this website, it made me think back to something that Kaiëma said. Something that stuck with me because it was so far-fetched and so un-American. She said, "You don't even need to achieve anything in your life." And at the time, me hearing that was a tough pill for me to swallow. I mean, I had spent my life striving to achieve things. I defined myself by my achievements. I defined myself by my diplomas and my certifications and my victories in sports. My resume was filled with achievements. It's what made me who I thought I was. But now I see what Kaiëma was trying to tell me. She was telling me that I was enough. And that in life, you don't need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. And that your worth is not measured by your achievements or lack thereof. So my website is unconventional and from a business standpoint, lacking. But it is in essence very me. And I'm happy with the way it's progressing and evolving. Thank you.